India and South Africa share close relationship. In fact, we know the historic legacies both countries share. Mahatma Gandhi made South Africa his home and started his journey in many ways from South Africa that ultimately culminated with India's independence. With me is the South African Foreign Minister here in Delhi. He's here in Delhi for the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting. We'll talk about several issues, but first, welcome to WION, Your Excellency. And my first question to you is, you're here in Delhi for the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting. What is your big focus at the Foreign Ministers meeting?
Yeah, thank you very much. It is a very warm welcome here in New Delhi. We are looking forward to the BRICS meeting, and our priority is on strengthening multilateralism, the human rights outlook of BRICS, and the resolution of conflicts through peaceful means, the conflict in the Middle East, the attack on Iran by the US and Israel, the Ukraine and Russia war. So we're looking to continue to foster engagements in relations to peace, peaceful dialogue to resolve conflicts. And we're also looking forward to engagements in relations to development, cooperation on finance, cooperation on trade amongst the BRICS partners, cooperation on science and technologies and research and development. All those aspects remains very key developmental aspects that BRICS should continue to expand on.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned about the finance part. There have been talks about a BRICS currency. Is this something on the table?
The talks have been more on the use of local currencies on trade. It is a process that is still ongoing, and we want to see that being developed, because those who are financial experts say it's more cheaper to trade in local currency. It can also enhance BRICS trades amongst the BRICS countries. So it's indeed something that the BRICS has to continue to develop.
Mm-hmm. West Asia undoubtedly is going to dominate the discourse, whether it's BRICS or any other grouping today, because the West Asia war has impacted everyone from India to South Africa. Now, the grouping has so far failed to come up with a joint statement. What's the reason behind it?
Yeah, obviously there are member states of BRICS who are directly impacted by the conflict, as you are aware, the UAE and Iran. But we do think and see this as an opportune platform for us to foster that cooperation, to foster that dialogue for peaceful engagement, even on this conflict that affects directly our members. We see it as a huge platform of interactions, of exchange of ideas in its resolution anchored on the UN Charter. Mm-hmm. So it is the failure in the past should not be seen as an end in itself, but as part of the process towards peaceful engagements, because conflicts of this nature do take some time. Mm-hmm. But this platform will further give us an opportunity to persuade all the partners within BRICS that the way to go is through a peaceful engagement and a peaceful negotiation, that the barrel of the gun will not resolve this problem. It will not be solved through military means, but it will be resolved through peaceful engagement.
Mm-hmm. You're hopeful this time around there will be a statement after the BRICS Foreign Minister meet concludes?
Yes, we remain hopeful, and I'm aware that the Sherpas are still in negotiations. The engagements are ongoing on the draft statement. And I remain very hopeful that they will be able to persuade each other. We will also persuade each other as foreign ministers to arrive to a statement that must send a positive message to the BRIC partners, to the global south, that we are capable of taking and resolving our own challenges and making an input on global affairs.
Mm-hmm. What's the relevance of BRICS in today's day and age? This is a grouping that saw expansion that happened under your presidency, in fact. How this grouping can be one of the key element of the global order, or do you think that the group will face its own internal contradictions?
Yeah, there will always be internal contradictions because member states are independent, they are autonomous in their foreign policy outlook. But when we come to the BRICS platform, we all look for common positions that must help the Global South because we need a unified voice to advocate for the reform of the Security Council, for example, of the United Nations, which is one of the key proponents of the Global South and the BRICS platform, the reform of the global financial architecture, the issues related to just transition, climate change, and so forth, because ourselves in the Global South are mostly impacted. And you can see the relevancy of BRICS in all these forums. At the UN General Assembly, we all speak in one voice on all the issues I've just mentioned, the reform of the Security Council, the Pact of the Future, the reform of the global financial architecture. And this was also the common theme and message when BRICS countries like Indonesia hosted the G20. Before they were a member of the G20, India hosted the G20, Brazil, when they hosted the G20, South Africa, we carried forward the message from the Global South since from Indonesia. Mm-hmm. And Indonesia has now also joined BRICS. Mm-hmm. So it is clear that there is a relevancy of the forum to build one common message for the Global South in relations to development, in relations to the reform of the UN, in relations to various issues impacting the Global South. Mm-hmm. So we should continue in that trajectory.
Mm-hmm. Now coming to the India relationship, now we started by talking about the strong India-South Africa relationship. How do you characterize this relationship between India and South Africa?
Yes, indeed, India is a big global player in terms of technology, in terms of agriculture, and it's also one of our biggest trading partners in South Africa. They account for almost a fourth or fifth of our trade. We are India's number one trader in Africa in terms of trade. So it's a relationship of goodwill. It's a relationship that is deep historically, as we have already mentioned, the role of Mahatma Gandhi, and also the role of our former President Nelson Mandela, whom one of his first visit after he was released from prison. He came to India and started to build that relationship. And since then, the relationship between South Africa and India has grown from strength to strength, with South Africa being one of those countries where there's a huge Indian diaspora in the world. I think South Africa is one of those, or it is the biggest. So this cultural people-to-people, but also the trade level between the two countries makes this relationship very strategic. And we look forward to continue with it, both at the strategic level in terms of research, development, science and technology, and also skills development. So we are looking forward to continue to build on this foundation.
Mm-hmm. There's several elements to the relationship. There's pharma, there is investment, there is trade, there's people-to-people relationship. How do you plan to strengthen it further? Are you looking at any practical areas of cooperation between the two sides? I know one area of cooperation can be direct flight, because this is something that has been a long-standing demand given the large diaspora. But any practical aspect through which both sides can further their engagement?
Yes, there is engagement on the direct flight. So we are looking forward, we are looking into that possibility. We are also looking, as I've already mentioned, on cooperation on AI technology. India has got the advanced skills and capability in this regard, from which South Africa can benefit from. Science, agriculture. So these are areas that we look forward for more cooperation. As you are aware, our citrus fruit is already in India. So we want to deepen that, and more cooperation also on South African products from agricultural perspective coming into India, and other value-added products, but also Indian companies coming with their technology into our economy to add value in the various aspects of our economy, but also in particular on critical minerals. India is known for its value addition on diamonds and so forth. So these are platforms that South Africa can benefit from, and the African continent.
India is going to host the India-Africa Summit in matter of 15 days now. This is going to be a summit happening after a decade. What is your expectation from this summit?
Our expectation is to continue to strengthen the relationship between India and the African continent. And the African continent, we have already defined what we want, because we are one of those rich countries in terms of critical minerals, just like India, that we want to see investment, value addition on the critical minerals in the African continent. So that is our biggest expectation, to drive the artificial intelligence, the technology, that will be the theme of the summit. This should happen where the African continent is a major partner, not only just as a consumer, but also on the research and development, and also on value addition.
You have already mentioned about this particular topic, but I want to get your view through the lens of India and Africa. That's the UNSC reform. Now, India is the most populated country on the planet, still not at the UNSC. Africa, a whole continent, is not present at the UNSC. Are you hopeful that there will be reforms where there will be representation from Africa and India will get the seat at the high table? Because the intergovernmental process at the UN looks very slow, looks very painful, and it looks like while countries say that they want reforms, it's just lip service.
Yeah, it is true. It is very slow. It is painfully moving at the tortoise pace, but we shall not get tired. We shall not lose hope. We must continue to fight for reform. And we are not doing so just as lip service. We want it to be impactful. We want it to happen. And there was a step taken last year at the UN General Assembly on the adoption of the Pact of the Future, which is very clear that the UN Security Council must be reformed to represent the current dynamics. As you have said, with Africa, when the UNSC was formed, most countries in the African continent were still under colonialism. India itself was not considered, and the BRICS has also moved in that regard to say that the countries of the Global South should have a fair representation in the UN Security Council. The African continent should have 2 representatives. India must be represented, and Brazil. So this is a cohesive message coming out of the BRICS platform that we need to amplify, we need to work on, and it is going to happen.
India, of course, has taken a lead from the front in many ways, backing Africa at the UNSC, but also making sure that Africa becomes part of the G20, where the African Union became part of the G20 during India's presidency. So how do you see it as?
Yeah, it was a very progressive push by India, which shows that things, when there is momentum, when there is cohesive message and engagement, do happen. And that will be the same with the UN Security Council. And given my age, I can say it will definitely happen in my lifetime.
Okay. I won't ask your age, but but I'll carry forward to the next question on the West Asia conflict. We've already discussed that is going to be the big focus at the BRICS foreign ministers meeting. But how has the West Asia crisis impacted life in South Africa? We have seen globally the cost of fuel increasing. Global South takes the maximum brunt, as always, something that we have seen after the war in Europe. So how is the war in West Asia impacting your country?
It is impacting us negatively in terms of the price of fuel. Energy, diesel and petrol is now very expensive. The prices are increasing. And it is also impacting us with regards to the easy movement of fertilizer, because it's also where our fertilizer comes through the most. So it is indeed a very impactful platform, but we're also seeing it as an opportunity for us to build with the other partners to diversify on the energy mix, to be able to get the necessary energy, fuel, and so forth. So it is indeed a negative one, but we also have 40% of our own domestic capability to be able to cushion and mitigate against the challenge of importing refined fuel.
Any conversation with the Indian side on that aspect, how to deal with this challenge? Because India has been conversing on this issue with several of its neighboring countries.
Yes, we are in conversation in the continent and also with the India and also our other BRICS partners, how to deal with this issue and how we can resolve it together.
So coming back to India, now India and South Africa are literally neighbors because of the Indian Ocean. The shores of Indian Oceans from Tamil Nadu, Kerala to South Africa, they're all connected. There are challenges of maritime security in the Indian Ocean. How do you plan to have conversations with India? Is there any plans that together they can make sure that piracy, illegal fishing can be dealt with? There is a grouping as well, the Indian Ocean Rim Association. India plans to host the summit as well next year. So what's the conversation on security in the region?
Yes, indeed. We are part of that conversation, and we are having cooperation with India in regards to maritime protection and also the freedom of navigation in the sea, but also to deal with piracy and all other negative elements that can impact the easy flow of goods and in the sea, and also any other issues related to piracy.
And where is the future of IBSA?
It is in continuing to anchor global governance, democracies. As you are aware, this is a good platform for us to continue to deepen cooperation on democratic governance. Brazil, South Africa, and India remains one of the most democratic societies or countries in the world.
Any plans for the summit? The IBSA summit?
Yes, we had one in South Africa on the margins of the G20, and we look forward to another one, and hopefully India could look at it on the margins of the BRICS summit. But that is up to India as the host. But we remain committed to the IBSA platform. It's very important for democracy in the world.
Now, going to a topic that everyone discusses, in fact, everyone wakes up with a post, and that's the post of Donald Trump. How are you dealing with Donald Trump? We all know the relationship is not doing very well. Of course, he has been not so nice, to use the term, not so Mr. Nice with many countries as well. So, how are you dealing with Donald Trump?
Yeah, as you have said, even with India, he's unpredictable. Even for us, it's an unpredictable environment. We deal with it as it comes and as it goes. We have up to so far maintained our communication with the White House and the various facets of the American society, because the American society is multi-layered. Congress, think tanks, academia, business sector, and so forth. So we look at it as a multifaceted society that we need to continue to work with and strengthen that relations of people to people. And that's why we were also surprised last year that the highest number of tourism into South Africa came from the United States of America. So it shows that the strengthening of people-to-people relations is also a very key component of our engagement with the U.S. and also with the cities. We have had an opportunity to engage in California and some of the cities in the U.S. So we continue to build that platform and continue to have an open line of engagement with the White House, because it remains important that there is some bridge of the communication gap in relation to the various issues that some of them came out of misinformation, like the issue of the genocide of white Afrikaners, which does not exist. It's a misrepresentation, and it was a product of misinformation. So we have to continue to engage and to open the line of engagements.
But when it comes to the G20, what is the current position? The Americans, the US president is saying that you're no longer in the G20. What's the exact situation? Will you be attending the summit in Florida?
No, he can't say we can no longer be in the G20, because we are a founding member of the G20. and no one member of the G20 can decide that this country can no longer be a member of the G20. What he has done is not to invite South Africa into the G20 summit that will be hosted by the US. But we are a member of the G20. We are a founding member, so we really don't know what will be that summit, which does not have one of its founding members. So it is important that the members of the G20 will have to discuss and characterize what is that.
Is there any discussion happening?
It will be 19. It will be the other 19 founding members. So I don't know whether you can characterize it as a G20 if South Africa is not there. So it's different to the South African one. With us, the Americans voluntarily decided not to attend. Okay. And we were open. We wanted America to attend because they were G20 members. And we, throughout the year, said America remains welcome. Whatever date they decide to come, they are welcome into the G20. Indeed, there is discussion by the other members of the G20. They are raising the concerns of South Africa's exclusion. We know that Brazil have raised the matter very sharply, and Russia and other European countries. The African Union has also raised this matter very, very sharply. So we look forward to all members of the G20 raising the issue very sharply of the exclusion of South Africa.
Mm-hmm. Have you raised this issue with the Indian side? Do you expect hope, support from the Indian side on you not being present at the G20 summit in Florida?
Yeah, we have raised it with them. We will raise it with them again this afternoon. And we continue to expect that as a principal member of the G20, they will understand that it will be unfair for the G20 to sit without one of the founding members.
Mm-hmm. So as the foreign minister of one of the leading country of the global south, what's your assessment of the global situation in next few years? Because the situation looks very precarious. It looks like the world is ready to have more conflicts. While there is a ceasefire in West Asia, the 40-day war is over with a ceasefire. There is still concern over the situation that is panning out. The war in Europe still continues. So what's your view about the future of the planet?
Yeah, we are very concerned. Indeed, there are still raging wars, even in Africa. Sudan, one of the most ignored conflicts. Over 10 million people have been displaced in Sudan. We remain very concerned about the Sudan conflict, the displacement, the killing of innocent civilians, and we call also for peace there. There is also a conflict in the Eastern DRC, which we remain concerned about, including displacements of communities as we are speaking, as we are here, and also the taking one of the youngest democracies in Africa, South Sudan, to their first democratic elections. And there is still some challenges of conflict, low-lying conflict in South Sudan. And as you have already said, the conflict in the Middle East, Palestine, Israel invasion of Gaza, Iran, the attack on Iran, and also the conflict on Russia and Ukraine. So this remains issues of concern, and it does not augur well for the future of the planet. Hence, it is important for us to continue to call for return to the diplomatic path, the diplomatic engagement, where you can find peace on the table. Because with all the conflicts happening in the globe, it's clear that there will no longer be a military victory by any country because of the advancement of technology that has now evolved the way of fighting. It's no longer like in the past where you needed boots on the ground. Now it's a different type of wars that are being fought through technology, through physical, and through other dimensions. So the world needs to come together and have an understanding that we can only resolve global conflicts through peaceful engagement, through peaceful means, and through dialogue. And so the future of the world is on ensuring that the diplomatic route is the path that resolves disputes amongst nations.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, sir, for giving us this interview and basically letting us know where South Africa stands on various issues, whether it's BRICS, whether it is G20, and of course, the ties with India. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.